Greetings. Now, we have seen in the last video how the rotten actions in the past are repeated today for the last 70 years. Destruction, mass murder, possession, and taking. All right, let's go to know why the Lord is giving the Israelis, this land. And rotten Zionists are lying so much about this. All right, let's hear what Moses has to say. Why the Israelis are taking the land of Palestine. Deuteronomy, book of Deuteronomy, chapter 9, verse 4 says, "After the Lord your God has driven them out before you, the people of the land, do not say to yourself," the Israelis, he's saying to the Israelis, don't say to yourselves, "The Lord has brought me here to take possession of this land because of my righteousness." They are not rotten, they are not righteous. So Moses is telling them, don't say that you are righteous. And that's why the Lord, driven those nations before you, so that you can possess their land. Not because of your righteousness. You are the furthest from being righteous. No. It is on account of the wickedness of this nation that the Lord is going to drive them out before you. So this is the first reason, that those nations are wicked, so the Lord is driving them out, so that the Israelis will come and take their place. Because this God doesn't know that the Israelis will become worse and more rotten. So what kind of a God who doesn't know the future with such limited knowledge? Why are you driving rotten people so that other rotten people will come and possess? This is the Jewish Christian God. Don't question. Okay? It is not because of your righteousness, but because on account of the wickedness of these nations. All right, the Lord your God will drive them out before you to accomplish what he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this is the other reason. Not the wickedness of those nations. It's not the only reason, no. Because he made a promise, he made a big mistake by promising Abraham to have his offspring, he's going to give this land. So because he made the promise, he is going to fulfill. While through the whole 5 books, the Lord is showing us how much they offend them, they defy them, how many times he wanted to demolish them, to extinguish them, annihilate them. Every single soul of them. Wanted to wipe them out. Many times he said, I will wipe them. I will destroy them. So why you drove the other nations? They are worse and more wicked. The Israelis are worse and more wicked than those nations that you drove out, so that those wicked may possess. Just because he made a promise to Abraham. Why did he do such a mistake? Such a horrible, miserable mistake. To promise Abraham for this wicked Israeli nation to take the land of other wicked nations. Okay. Verse 6 says, understand then that it is not because of your righteousness that the Lord God, your God is giving you this good land to possess. Very clear. It's not because of your righteousness. He is going to give you this land. You are not righteous. You are wicked, evil, rotten. Jesus called them serpents, children of vipers, snakes, poisonous snakes. And Moses called them worse than that. The Lord, the Lord replied, when the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, and the Amalekites and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried to me for help, did I not save you from their land? Why is he saying this? He keeps saying this over and over in the Old Testament. He keeps repeating the same. It's so boring from him. He keeps saying, your God that drove you out of slavery from Egypt, from the oppression of pharaohs, and brought you to this good land. And he keeps saying it. He keeps repeating it. Every time they go to idols worship and they offend the Lord with their wickedness, he repeats the same story. He keeps repeating the same nonsense. This God doesn't know anything about the future. He's less than any human being. He makes so many mistakes, miserable when it comes to making mistakes. And then he complains. Didn't I do this? Didn't I do that for you? Why you're doing this to me? What? You had no idea. You had no clue. Why you are God? What qualifies? In what sense you should be worshipped? All right, let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 3. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him throughout Canaan. Euphrates to Canaan. The Canaanites, the Palestinians were in the land before Abraham, not only before Moses, not only before the Israelis came to take possession. Throughout to Canaan. Throughout Canaan. Canaan was in existence before Abraham. And I told you, Canaan, the father of the Canaanites, was one of the three sons of Noah. That's how long they exist. Since that time, after the flood, Canaan and his wife had children, according to you, not according to Islam and Quran. All right. And gave him many descendants. I gave him Isaac. Well, actually not Isaac only. And we mentioned this in the videos before. We discussed how he gave him Ishmael, firstborn, son. He gave him Isaac. And he said that from Ishmael, 12 rulers, numerous children, and the angel came to Hagar and he told her, your children are going to be so huge, so numerous. We mentioned that Keturah, the third wife of Abraham, gave him 5 sons and 1 daughter, and many children from those as well. From Isaac he had Jacob and Esau, and from those two we had so many after this. But we noticed only Jacob, only the Israelis were chopped down in number in Egypt, chopped down in the desert. All that generation died, hundreds of thousands of them, because the Lord promised they will not see the land. We have seen, in many verses how even 30,000 at one time in one battle with the Palestinians, the Philistines, die from the Israelis, and so many battles like that. We have seen half of them killed at the hands of the Babylonians and the Assyrians before taken to captivity. So much. So, anyway. So it's not because of their righteousness. And those rotten Zionists in the West are lying. That those Israelis are the people of God, and God so loved them, and my nation. And All this stupidity, actions speak louder than verbs. He almost wiped them so many times, according to the Old Testament. Wiped them, demolished them completely. So many times Moses bowed to the ground, pleading, please, Lord, don't do it. Don't destroy them. Not only Moses, Samuel, and so many prophets begged the Lord, please don't destroy all of them. So anyway, we understand now why the Lord gave them possession of the land. But later on, we will discover that He placed severe conditions on this possession to continue. We will talk about that. The conditions for possessing the land. But now we are talking about Palestine was never a land with no people. That's a rotten lie from the Zionists. Palestinians existed since Canaan of Noah, the son of Noah. We are talking why the Lord is giving them the land, because He promised Abraham, Isaac and Jacob that the offsprings will possess this land. So because of the promise, and clearly saying it is not because you are righteous, you are not righteous, you are miserable, you need destruction, but I'm not going to destroy you, because every time you have a messenger or a prophet pleading and praying and begging, so I leave you to live. But you are rotten. You are not righteous. You don't deserve all of this, any of this. And in many cases He say, I'm so patient with you. My patience is running out, and so on. And finally it did run out. And He kicked them out for 2,000 years before the stupid West brought them back to the land. Not God. Not God, like the rotten Zionists lie and say that God brought them back. No, He did not. They twist the verses in the book. Verses are meant for the slavery in Egypt and the slavery in Babylon. A long time history back. Not about 2,000 years all over the world, from one corner to the other corner, as the Lord threatened. We'll discuss this. We'll discuss it. We'll get there. Take care.